Every year, thousands of Indian men leave the fields of Punjab to try to make their fortune in Britain. They pay human traffickers thousands of dollars to smuggle them from India to the UK. When they arrive, this is what they get. Britain's economic downturn has left thousands of illegal workers in poverty. Hundreds are sleeping rough.
I would rather God took me, then I'd be okay.
For many, life on the streets is taking its toll. Where do you get the money from to buy
shoplifting, outside very cold, I can't sleep if I don't smoke drugs.
They're illegal, in Britain, and desperate to return home. But they're stuck in a bureaucratic no man's land. Punjab, one of India's richest states. They call it the food basket of India. Fertile soil has made Punjab a development success story. Its other big export has been its people. In the first decades after independence, hundreds of thousands of mainly Sikh Punjabis settled in the UK. Skilled and unskilled workers were encouraged to migrate to fill huge gaps in Britain's workforce. Today, the criteria they must meet for a British work visa is much tougher. But the desire to head to Britain is almost a way of life for every young Punjabi. They want wealth like this. Punjab's palaces dominate what were insignificant villages. They are holiday homes, built with the savings of first and second generation Indians that settled in Britain. This monument of wealth is being built by two brothers from Coventry. On the rooftops of these palaces, a tribute to the aeroplanes that took their grandparents or parents to the UK. They left this fertile land to earn greater wealth. 6,500 kilometres away in Britain. And it's that wealth that has inspired tens of thousands of young men from the farming communities to head to Britain to make their fortune. In fact, I've been told that in the villages here in the Jalandhar district, there's only a handful of young men left. Women and children are left to work the fields. Much of this land is being remortgaged to pay for the journey that the remaining young men here will soon make. They're not entitled to British visas. Locals call them fogies, which means foot soldiers. In this context, a man without an identity, because he works abroad illegally. But the global economic climate has changed. Fogies already in the UK have warned them. They say there is no work there, and there's no point in coming, he tells me. But they're unwilling to believe things have changed in Britain. We still want to see what it's like for ourselves, I am told. Just getting there involves certain risk. Billa has tried and failed. He tells me so-called agents arrange black market visas to Russia, continental Europe or Africa, where they are supposed to be picked up by traffickers.
First I went to Moscow. There were 3 of us. The agent said a man would meet us at the airport, but when we got there, nobody came and we were stuck at the airport.
He has also been sent on wasted trips to Thailand, Germany, Vietnam and Nigeria.
They just wanted the money. I was conned.
Agents charge up to $15,000 for a visa and the services of traffickers. There are no refunds. In Delhi, we track down 3 Punjabi men who have paid huge sums of money to an agent who has promised to get them to Britain. So the 3 men have agreed to meet me in the room that they're staying. It's been provided by the agents, all part of the package. They live here and they stay here until the agent has the visas ready for them, and they've agreed to talk to me. Hello? Hi, I'm Chris. Hello. Hi. Hi, how do you do? So this is where you are sleeping? You all share this bed? Sukha, Jagga and Billa have been living here for over a month, waiting for their black market visas. Sukha is only too aware of the risks they're taking.
My family's already financially stretched. We've lost money already on agents. My hope is to get out there and make back the money that we've lost.
They tell me they hope to settle in Southall, in West London, a predominantly Asian area.
What I've heard and what my friends tell me is our Punjabis are there. We'll have support. In other countries, we don't have our own people.
So it's the Punjabi community that is already in Britain that makes it attractive as well.
That's it. You think, well, a Punjabi is going to help a Punjabi.
Jagga, what do you expect when you get to Britain? How do you imagine Britain to be for you?
I'll go there, and once I'm sorted, I'll bring my family over. First of all, I'll set myself up like other people have done. That's my dream.
Traffickers are cashing in on their dreams. They will not warn India's Fojis that the economic downturn means Britain is no longer a land of opportunity. Sukha, Jagga and Billa hope to be here in a few weeks' time. It's known as Little India. This is Southall in West London. It's home to a huge South Asian population, one of the biggest concentrations outside India. Over the last 20 years, illegal immigrants from India have added to that population. But for new arrivals, life here is tough. From sunrise, hundreds of illegal immigrants descend on the train station car park, a regular pickup point for cheap, illegal labour. We filmed for hours. Only a handful of men were able to scramble for work. The good times for Fojis in Britain are over. A lack of work is pushing illegal workers into the very poverty they hope to escape. They live here, in Britain's 21st century slums. Across Southall, 2,500 poorly constructed buildings, hidden at the end of suburban gardens. They call them sheds with beds. Many built without planning permission, others converted garages. This is just one street, and on the end of each garden there are brick buildings like this one, all with windows and doorways leading to this alleyway, and they just go on and on and on. Inside, the accommodation is basic. It's all these illegal immigrants from Punjab can afford.
We can barely make ends meet. It's been 2 months and we've only worked 4 days. What can we do? We have to pay the landlords. There are 4 or 5 of us, so we club together to pay it.
Their rent, a total of $1,200 a month. Punjabi landlords will risk housing illegal immigrants, but at an inflated price. They've been told not to open the door to anyone in case they are local authority officials or immigration officers. But we got inside posing as volunteers. We brought them food and blankets. They complain of damp, cramped conditions, but what angers them most is being exploited by their own people.
Our people who are here legally, permanent residents, who've made homes here, they've paid for their houses because of us. Their mortgages are paid. They charge a high rent. Everyone who lives here is Punjabi.
Row after row of terraced houses are hiding sheds with beds in their gardens for illegal immigrants. Many of the immigrants we spoke to are paying hundreds of dollars a month to live in squalid, illegal, and in some cases, dangerous buildings.
How much rent do you pay?
500
a month. A month.
a month.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Because it is a study flat, no?
It's a flat.
That bought electricity
Yeah.
and things. Yeah.
So that's 2 people just.
Oh, electrics are gone.
Specialist teams made up of construction regulation officers and immigration officials are investigating Britain's sheds with beds. There are an estimated 10,000 illegal dwellings in sheds, garages and outer buildings across London and the home counties. Local councils have detected the highest number in the boroughs of Ealing and Slough. So what are the authorities actually doing to deal with this growing number of so-called sheds with beds? Local authorities say they are often hampered by the law, which means they have to give 24 hours notice before inspecting a property. Plenty of time for landlords and their tenants to conceal evidence. The BBC has made its evidence available to the authorities. Increasing numbers of illegal immigrants are giving up on their life in Britain. But getting home isn't easy.
Down here. And then... Is this where you sleep?
And my bedroom.
Jagdish's family paid $15,000 to traffickers to smuggle him into Britain. He came here from India for a better life.
And inside...
This is what he got. Out of work and penniless, he's found refuge in a derelict garage.
When I left and came here, I was told that life was good here. It's not just me, other boys came for work. You can see what state we're in. There's no work, no government help.
Jagdish has cut himself off from his family. He would rather they think he is dead than living like this.
They sold land and took out loans to get me out of India, to improve our lives, to make life better. But when you get here, there's nothing. There's no work, no money. What can I say to my family back home? The money we've invested is lost.
He has handed himself in for voluntary deportation back to India. But here's the problem. Like most illegal immigrants, he destroyed his ID papers when he arrived to make deportation difficult, on the advice of his trafficker.
They told me that when you've been here a while, you can get papers, a job, and stay. But those are all stories. In fact, I didn't get anything, a house or a job. Now he's pleading to go home. He must prove his identity. And that can take years.
And there are thousands of others stuck in the same bureaucratic no man's land. We found dozens bedding down under bridges by canals. And under a motorway in West London.
Yeah, I think they're okay. Cheers, guys. Thanks.
Every day they spend in this misery, they slip further into a destructive cycle. It's now midnight and nearly all of the men that live under this bridge have gone to bed, wrapping themselves in duvets and jumpers to try and keep warm. The temperature at the moment is freezing. They've got another 6 hours here before they'll get up and head into the centre of Southall in the hope of finding work. And the atmosphere here is very intense, as you can hear. There's a lot of people that have been drinking all day. Some of them are clearly taking drugs as well. It's a very intimidating place to be.
In India, my life is better.
Yeah.
Here, I'm doing nothing.
Yeah.
Sleeping rough.
21-year-old Jaspal was jailed for shoplifting.
Yes. Very bad situation.
Now he's back on the streets and on heroin.
They arrest me. I told him send me back. But they don't send me back. They go because I got no passport, no papers.
And where do you get the money from to buy
shoplifting? Outside very cold. I can't sleep if I don't smoke drugs.
The streets are not for everyone. Colum and Glacier have found refuge on buses. They tell me that many of the drivers are Punjabi and they let them sleep on the bus during the night service.
So how long have you been sleeping on the bus?
7 months.
7 months sleeping on night buses. And do the drivers ever kick you off? Do they mind? No?
They will travel from Southall to central London and back 6 times as they sleep. The only form of help available are handouts from homeless charities. The Sikh Welfare and Awareness Team claim the British government's repatriation scheme is overwhelmed, forcing increasing numbers of Indian men onto the streets.
The kind of areas that we find these people sleeping in are mainly in graveyards, in parks, in disused garages, under bridges. They sleep in derelict houses, they sleep in dustbin rooms. I've known cases to drag on for years. Literally years.
And do some of them give up hope of ever going back home?
Lots and lots of them give up hope of going back.
The Indian High Commission in London and the UK Border Agency say that establishing the true identity of these men can be complex. And the time it takes to issue emergency travel documentation varies case by case. But UK Home Office figures reveal that voluntary departures by illegal immigrants from the UK to all countries have risen steadily over the past 6 years, from 335 in 2005 to nearly 13,000 in 2011. Half of them were Indian nationals. Welcome to Bhuta Singh's bathroom in a cemetery. He's been stuck in the system for 3 years. In better times, he earned hundreds of dollars a week as a plumbing engineer. Now he says he has nothing to stay or leave for.
They've got a photocopy of my passport. Anyway, what will I do if I go back? Everything's finished. I'm not married, my brothers have shared out the land between themselves, and my parents are dead.
Life on the streets is taking its toll. He's even considered suicide.
I would rather God took me, then I'd be okay. Nobody listens to me. I ask them to give me a room and some money to live, but they say no.
Bhuta told me he hopes his story will act as a warning to those hoping to become a Fauji. He hopes some good can come from his miserable existence. So, back in Delhi, we're taking his message to the people who need it most. Sukha, Jagga and Billa are on standby to be trafficked to Britain. They're about to see the reality of life as a Fauji there. What I'm about to show you is the area where you will probably end up living. As they watch the footage, the risk they are taking dawns on them.
He doesn't believe it.
Well, you have to take a bit of a risk. We have to do it and stay together.
We have to do it, so what? It doesn't matter. We need the money, okay?
Does it worry you that you are paying £10,000 to traffickers and agents to take you to Britain to end up living somewhere very similar to where you are staying now?
If this is true, then I'm thinking we'll be stuck in this situation if we go there.
Now, that accommodation is among the best accommodation for illegal immigrants from India. Many have lost work, they've got no money, they cannot afford a shed with a bed, and so they are now living on the streets.
I'm not going.
They look in a really bad state. That's enough. Don't show us any more. It'll only make us feel worse.
Did your agent warn you that this is a possibility? If you don't find work, you could end up living on the streets?
We're going to talk to him to say we want our money back. He's not going to give it to us. We're going to have to fight with him to get it back.
For Bhuta Singh and thousands of others, it's too late. He has never revealed the true extent of his downfall to his family. Now he wants all families in his village to know. His brothers and sister-in-laws haven't seen him for 17 years. The family have agreed to meet me, knowing I have some news about Bhuta. One of his brothers is working illegally in Italy. I'm welcomed by his older brother, Mugga, and Bhuta's nephews, Sandeep and Gurulal. These old photos are the only insight they've had into Bhuta's life as a Fauji. They tell me he repaid the loan that funded his journey while working in Germany, then Holland. In the UK, nobody earned as much as Bhuta, his brother tells me. And the villagers called him a hero. The legacy of Bhuta's hard work. 2 family homes built with his hard-earned cash. On the roof, the traditional tribute to the vehicle that took Bhuta to Britain. Both houses are incomplete. 4 years ago, the money stopped coming.
I would rather God
A clear sign that Bhuta was struggling. But until now, they had no idea just how bad it had become.
What makes me so sad is that he's suffering so much hardship. What's the point of living if life is like that? If he's living that kind of life, it's better that he came home. At least if he comes here, he'll be able to eat well. He has a room to sleep in. He'll get everything he needs.
I'm so upset that he sleeps under a bridge and hangs around in a cemetery. What's the point of his life? It would be better if he came back home to his family. We'll find all his ID documents and fax them.
Bhuta's brother asks me to show the footage to other mothers from the village and their children. So he sleeps here in his bed? Who could easily become the next generation of India's Faujis.
चलो करो ज्यादा करो काम